In ancient Rome, the concept of salary existed, but it is important to note that the value and purchasing power of money were quite different from what we experience today. While it is difficult to determine an exact average salary in ancient Rome, we can explore the general economic conditions and make comparisons to gain a better understanding. During this time period, there was a wide range of salaries depending on one's occupation and social status. The lower class, such as laborers and slaves, earned significantly less compared to skilled workers or high-ranking officials. However, even for those with higher incomes, it is unlikely that a Roman salary alone would have been enough to live a luxurious lifestyle. In ancient Rome, the lowest earners were typically the laborers and slaves who performed physically demanding tasks. These individuals were often paid meager wages or received basic necessities as compensation for their work. Their income was barely enough to cover their basic needs such as food, clothing, and shelter. On the other hand, skilled workers such as artisans or craftsmen enjoyed higher earning potential. Their expertise in various trades allowed them to command better pay compared to laborers. However, their salaries still remained modest by modern standards. At the top of the social hierarchy were high-ranking officials and aristocrats who held positions of power within Roman society. These individuals had access to wealth through land ownership or political connections rather than relying solely on a salary. Their income was derived from various sources such as agricultural production or business ventures. Despite earning higher incomes than the lower classes, even these more affluent Romans would have found it challenging to maintain a luxurious lifestyle solely on their salaries alone. The cost of living in ancient Rome was significantly different from today's standards. Expenses such as housing, servants' wages, entertainment, and extravagant commodities could quickly deplete one's finances. To supplement their incomes and maintain a higher standard of living, many Romans relied on investments or additional sources of revenue beyond their official salaries. This could include owning businesses or properties that generated income streams beyond what they earned through employment. In conclusion, during ancient Roman times there was a wide range of salaries depending on one's occupation and social status. The lower class earned significantly less compared to skilled workers or high-ranking officials. However, even for those with higher incomes, living a luxurious lifestyle would have required additional sources of wealth beyond their salaries alone. In ancient Rome, housing options were diverse and reflected the stark economic disparities of the time. The wealthy elite had access to grand villas, sprawling estates complete with lush gardens, courtyards, and luxurious amenities. These opulent dwellings showcased their social status and provided ample space for entertaining guests. On the other end of the spectrum, the lower classes in Rome often faced cramped living conditions. Most commoners resided in multi-story apartment buildings known as insulae. These apartments were typically small and lacked proper ventilation or sanitation facilities. Families would often share a single room or even a bed in these crowded quarters. The cost of housing varied greatly depending on location and quality. Prime real estate in desirable areas fetched exorbitant prices, making it exclusive to the elite class. In contrast, lower-income individuals had to settle for more affordable but less desirable accommodations on the outskirts of the city or in less prestigious neighborhoods. When it came to food expenses, Romans' diets were influenced by their social standing as well. Basic staples like grains such as wheat and barley along with vegetables were relatively affordable for most Romans regardless of their social class. These items formed the backbone of their daily meals. However, indulging in luxury foods was reserved for those who could afford it. Meat was considered a symbol of wealth and status, but its cost made it inaccessible to many commoners who relied primarily on plant-based diets. Imported delicacies from distant lands were also highly prized but came with hefty price tags due to transportation costs. In conclusion, ancient Roman society witnessed significant disparities in housing quality and expense based on one's socioeconomic status. The wealthy enjoyed lavish villas while those lower down the social ladder lived in cramped apartments or shared accommodations. Similarly, food expenses varied depending on one's social standing. While basic staples were relatively affordable for most Romans, luxury items like meat or imported delicacies remained a privilege reserved for the affluent. When evaluating the adequacy of a Roman salary for daily living, it is crucial to take into account additional expenses beyond just basic necessities. While food and shelter were essential, other costs such as clothing, education, entertainment, and healthcare also played a significant role in determining one's quality of life during that era. During Roman times, societal norms were markedly different from those of the modern era. Unlike today's emphasis on individual consumption and material possessions, there was less pressure on individuals to accumulate wealth or engage in excessive personal spending. Instead, the focus was often on communal well-being and societal cohesion. Clothing expenses were an important consideration for Romans. The cost of maintaining a respectable wardrobe could vary depending on factors such as social status and occupation. While some individuals had access to lavish garments made from expensive materials, others relied on more affordable options. Education was another factor to be considered when assessing daily living costs during this period. Formal education was primarily available to those from wealthier backgrounds or within specific professions such as law or medicine. However, informal education through apprenticeships or mentorships was also common among various trades. Entertainment played a vital role in Roman society and encompassed various activities ranging from theater performances and gladiatorial games to chariot races and public spectacles. Attending these events required financial resources but was considered an integral part of the cultural fabric of ancient Rome. Healthcare costs were another aspect that needed consideration when evaluating the sufficiency of a Roman salary for daily living. While medical care did exist during this time period through physicians and herbal remedies, access to quality healthcare varied significantly depending on one's social status and financial means. In conclusion, when assessing whether a Roman salary was sufficient for daily living, it is vital to consider not only basic necessities like food and shelter but also additional expenses such as clothing, education, entertainment, and healthcare expenditures. Understanding the differences in societal norms between ancient Rome and modern times is crucial to gaining a comprehensive perspective on the cost of living during that era. Overall, while some individuals may have had enough income to cover their basic needs comfortably, many others likely struggled with making ends meet. The economic conditions of ancient Rome were complex and diverse, therefore it is challenging to make definitive statements about the adequacy of an average Roman salary without considering individual circumstances and social hierarchies.